name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I have a tips and tricks video for you. We're going to be working with the pigment sprinkles. Okay, so what I have for you here are the watercolor crystals pigment sprinkles, the Stampin' Up! Variety that were new in our catalog in June, and we have 6 colors. We have Melon Mambo, we have Mango Melody, we have Granny Apple Green, we have Gorgeous Grape, Bermuda Bay, and Daffodil Delight. Now, what I did was I'm also using for this our new watercolor paper. It's called Fluid 100 watercolor paper from Stampin' Up! And there are 10 sheets in a package. And the sheets measure 7 inches by 5 inches. So what I've done is I've prepared 3 surfaces for you, and I've got some samples to show you of the ones that I've already colored. These are swatches that I made of the individual colors. This one is the Granny Apple Melon Mambo. This one is the Mango Melody, and there's not a lot of difference in this, but I didn't spray this very heavily. So this came out a little bit lighter, but that's the Mango Melody. This is the Daffodil Delight, Bermuda Bay, and the Gorgeous Grape. And all of these are in less intense saturations of the color. First of all, let me show you. It comes in this little box. Then it comes in these little bottles, and this bottle and the color piece is already on the top so that you know which one you're working with, and the tops screw off. Then there's this little flap that goes down over. You'll see that what I've done on mine is I've put a little piece of washi tape underneath this. There are 3 little holes to sprinkle the stuff out of. That is way too much. This stuff comes out, the color is intense. I have covered 2 of the holes and part of the 1 hole. And I'm going to go back in and cover half of the remaining hole so that you just have a tiny sliver of opening there to get your crystals sprinkled out. So that's what these bottles look like. And I've already got my washi tape on all of my bottles. And then this was my swatch then to show what the colors really look like. And you can see in each of them, like the Granny Apple, there's a lighter, you can see a bit of the yellow. And every one of these colors is a multiple of crystal pigments combined to make this color. For instance, I'll give you an idea. This color here, which looks decidedly orange, is actually the Granny Apple Green. And you'd never know that by looking at it if it didn't say Granny Apple Green or didn't have this on it, because it looks like it ought to be pumpkin pie. But when you activate it with water, it's definitely green. So each of them have, this is Daffodil Delight. See how orange it looks in the bottle. This one, it looks like Blackberry Bliss, and it is Bermuda Bay. They stay in the bottles here so you know exactly what you're really working with. The first thing I've done is I have taped down on my work surface here a piece of the watercolor paper, and the other tool that I have by my side is my Stampin' Spritzer. We're going to use that. I have a fabric cloth here for cleanup, and I have many sheets of paper towel here to help us manage the color and the water. All right, let me show you what it was I've done so far. This one, and I've already backed these so we could see a little bit of what you could get done with this. This one all came off of 1 sheet of paper, and this one was the Gorgeous Grape, the Bermuda Bay, and the Granny Apple Green together. I sprinkled some of each on this watercolor paper and then used my spritzer to put some water down on my project. And this was super intense amount of crystals, so the colors were intense. This one turned to Blackberry Bliss. That is the purple and the green and the blue combined. And so on this one, I backed it with a tiny bit of white and then with a piece of Blackberry Bliss. And I think on a regular card front here, putting together something with some designer series paper and or just this panel with an image across here and or maybe some flowers that mimic some of these colors and a sentiment would make a stunningly beautiful card. And this piece ends up being about 2 inches by about 4 inches. And what I did was I put my tape down here just because it's going to get wet and it's going to buckle, and this gives you the best chance of ending up with a semi-flat piece of paper in the end. And so I cut as little of this paper away as I could when I had my finished project. So let me show you what that looks like. This one was a combination of Melon Mambo, Mango Melody, and Daffodil Delight. Now the Daffodil Delight kind of got swallowed up in this. But this is where I put my tape, and when you trim this away here like this, you can get 3 panels that are about 2 inches by about 4 inches out of each one of these pieces of paper. Now that one I thought would be very interesting. This is a piece of paper from this suite called the Sia Silhouette, and I thought that one might be kind of interesting against that, or against a piece of white or a piece of yellow. I think there's all kinds of things that you can do with that. And also, this might be very interesting. It would be very bold, but you could see where rimmed in white, a panel across the front of this with a little bit of this paper behind it on a white background would just be stunning to look at. So let's take that card front again and say that we had this on a card front that showed a little bit of this, a little bit of the white, and a little bit of this paper to one side against my card front. Wouldn't that be just beautiful? And depending on where you cut it, you could pick up those oranges and the reds. And that would be on your card front there, a panel that looked like that, that had a few of these pieces on it, and then on a white piece. And what I think I'll do is I'm going to finish coloring things today, and then I'm going to come back with another tips and tricks video where I take all of these pieces of paper that I've made with the sprinkles and show you a finished card using them. So, I mean, there's a lot of things you could do even with this against the green, with this against the green as well. There's so many things you can do with this. It's just very pretty. And if you have a bold piece of paper, then I think you can do a lot. And so this was the one I did with the highly intense color. This is the one I did with, and this was again purple, Bermuda Bay, Gorgeous Grape, Bermuda Bay, and Granny Apple. This was yellow, Daffodil, Mango, and Melon Mambo. And this one, which is my absolute favorite, was using the purple, the Gorgeous Grape, and the Bermuda Bay only. And that one is stunning with a piece of Gorgeous Grape on it, with a piece of Bermuda Bay used with it. In fact, I think I like that even better than the Gorgeous Grape. It kind of depends on how much color you get and what the predominant color ends up being. I could redo this again where I mostly had Bermuda Bay and just small amounts of the purple, and it would change completely. But it's really fun to play with. I thought that today what I would show you is a little bit of how I went about putting some of the color down, and then maybe mixing some different kinds of colors today. And I thought that this would be fun to do in Bermuda Bay and green and the mango. Let's see what happens. This is taped down on my laminated sheet, so my work surface is completely covered and protected. I am actually wearing my Stampin' Up! Apron here because this color, when you get it on you, doesn't come out. It's a messy process. So you want to have your work surface completely covered. You want to have your work area protected. You want to, in fact, you might even use rubber gloves for yourself, just because, well, you'll see by the time I'm done, my fingers will be all sorts of colors here. But let's start with the Bermuda Bay. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm just going to add some sprinkles, and you see how little I am putting down, and it looks positively purple. And it's definitely not. And it's almost like a little salt shaker operation that you get here, and that's probably more than enough Bermuda Bay. Then I want to do the Mango Melody, and my tape is coming loose there, so I have a chance to put it back on and cover part of that bottom hole so that I get, and even then there it comes pretty fast. That's the Mango Melody, and I'm going to put my top back on that. This one is the Granny Apple Green, and you'll see it goes on and looks positively orange. And there we go. I've got a little bit of the Granny Apple Green on there, and I'm going to put quite a bit of water. I've got my spritzer full here. I'm going to aim my spritzer at the paper, and I'm going to spray at angles so it pushes the color around on the paper. There you go. You start to see this amazing color as it starts to appear on your paper. And the more water you add, the more intense the color gets and the more it starts moving around. Now, because this is on a piece that I can pick up and move, I can actually encourage that water to go and move. But I think for now, I'm just going to keep adding some more water here. This one is going to be very pretty. And there we go. I think I'm going to halt there, move my water around a little bit here on my page, and then I'm going to start with my paper towels, and I'm going to move. The other thing I have to work with is a water brush here. See, this part didn't get very much stuff, but I've got a little purple on this, so this is going to have a little purple corner. And I'm going to move some of that color into the corners here. Isn't that pretty? Oh my goodness. That is just gorgeous. And that's all I'm going to do. Now I'm going to use my paper towel to pick up, and if you just put the edge of it on your paper, what it'll do is wick away some of that moisture. And if I put it in the paper, it wicks away the moisture, but what it also does is it lightens the color. So for instance, here I want this beautiful intense green to stay there. So I'm going to wick away a little bit of that water, and this is where I use my rag here to get my water brush clean, get that stuff off of there, and then use my paper towel to just wick away a little bit of that color right at the edges. And there we go. And I'm going to clean these sprinkles up that are off on the edge, because believe me, it will get all over everything. But isn't that just gorgeous? I think that that's just beautiful. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my heat tool to dry this a little bit, and then we'll set it aside. And I've got 2 more work surfaces prepared so we can try a couple more color combinations before we're done, and then we'll see what we get. So I'll quiet the video. So now I'm going to set this one aside and let it dry just a bit more. And then underneath it, I have another surface prepared here. And I think that's all still on camera, yes. And we are going to try some other color combinations. Now, I did the Melon Mambo with the lighter colors, but I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to use the Melon Mambo on here. And then I'm going to also put the grape with it. And then I think, what shall we have? Melon Mambo, grape, and the green or the yellow? I think the green. And then we'll try the yellow and some other combinations on the next one. Okay, so here we go with the green. And I'm encouraging some out by just tapping on the back side of the little bottle here. Okay, so now I'm going to spritz this and let's see what we get. So this one is Melon Mambo, purple and green. So, isn't that wild? Almost looks like flowers, doesn't it? Now you could leave it like that and have it be fairly spotty if you liked that look. And for different projects, you might want to do it just completely differently. Oh, that's gorgeous. Very pretty. Very, very pretty. And the green is very understated here, but I like the effect. So you can see I have quite a bit of excess water on here. And again, I'm going to set my paper towels down on the edge here and see if I can wick away a little bit of that moisture. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? Wow. This is going to be fun to figure out how to make some cards that are using this beautiful pattern in the background. And I could see maybe putting some vellum over the top of some of this, and or doing some embossing like with gold over the top of this. Oh, that's going to be fun to mess with. Okay, so there we go. Canvas number 2. And I'm going to dry this one. You'll see that we got kind of a muddy color in here, but isn't that pretty? It almost looks like it's brown. So maybe that panel put on a piece of soft suede would be beautiful. So again, you just don't know until you do the color combinations. I dried that one a little bit more thoroughly because I'm going to remove this so I can put my next surface down to work on here. And I'll show you using one of these exactly how I trimmed it up for my card fronts. But there we go. That's our second one. Now I'm going to set that one aside to dry a little bit more, and I'm going to bring in my third work surface here. And I'm trying to think here what color combinations we haven't tried. And what we haven't done is the yellow. See if we can't get a real bright yellow. And what would we mix it with? Maybe the Melon Mambo. And again, it kind of reminds me of the color of flowers. No, see, this isn't the yellow. This is the Mango Melody. I think I want to go with the yellow. So the yellow, let's just do the yellow and the Melon Mambo. Just do the two. And that way we'll get plenty of both colors here. So there we go. That is the Melon Mambo, and believe me, that is more than enough. And then the yellow, and I'm going to make the yellow pretty intense here. Putting lots of it down. There we go. All right, and let's see what we get. What do you think? I think that's beautiful. Very intense color. And again, I've used quite a bit of water. You don't have to use as much as I did, but I'm going to grab a brand new paper towel here and sort of start sopping up. And you could just leave it like this and let it dry overnight and have all of that super intense color. You'd end up with a lot of intense color around the edges the way the water pools if you did that. And you could also go back over to get a different kind of look and put some more sprinkles on it and not add any more water, and you'll see it starts to bleed on its own with the moisture that's there, and it would give you a completely different look again. So I'm just going to go along the edges here and wick away a little bit of that water along the edges here. They're pretty dramatic, aren't they? This is just great fun to mess with. And I could see doing some really fun things with some black embossing powder on the top of this one. That'd be fun. Let me wick away a little bit more on this side here. Okay, and I think that's all I'm going to try and take away, because I really did want some of that intense yellow in that one. Okay, so I'm going to use my heat gun again, and I'll be right back. Well, that's interesting, because that's not that much different than this one, where I used the yellow, the Mango Melody, and the Melon Mambo. So if you wanted something that looked different than that, then you'd really need to put one of the other colors in there. Maybe a green or a purple would be very interesting. Okay, so what I'm going to do, this is all experimentation, isn't that fun, is I'm going to go ahead and peel this one off as well. Now this tape has done duty twice, so I'm going to toss it now, because I think it would contaminate future projects. So let me bring back the projects that I've already done here. All right. So, I have this one to release from its paper. It's now relatively dry as well. And I'm going to just peel this paper or this tape away. And you can see your fingers get nice and messy working with this, and you sure don't want to get this on your clothes if you don't have to. So there we go. So you want to clean your surface down really, really well when you're done with this as well, because it will leave color, and every time it gets wet, it reactivates the color again. So it's one of those things that you have to be really careful with when you work with. But the color combinations and the possibilities are pretty endless. So let's review what we've done. Here are the samples of the colors, and here they are right along here, the 6 colors that we have available. And this project here was one where I did very intense color in 3 samples. And then I did this one. We just did this one. This is yellow and melon mambo. This one was yellow and melon mambo and mango melody. This was melon mambo, gorgeous grape, and granny apple green. And this one was gorgeous grape and Bermuda Bay. So I guess I didn't use the Bermuda Bay again. Might have been fun to do that in here. Oh well, lots more opportunities. And the last one was this, which was yellow. No, it was mango melody, granny apple green, and yellow. So those are the project for today. I'm trying to think where I can put some of this so you can see more of the samples of what we came up with. There, maybe like that. And you'll have to tell me which color combinations. Right now I'm still leaning to this one, but then I love purples and greens, so that one is really appealing to me. But you can see where you can do some very interesting things, and then, like I said, immediately to put something like this on a card, maybe do some gold embossing on here with a flower and a greeting, and wouldn't that make a lovely card? Just very pretty. And the same thing with this one with the granny apple green and the Bermuda Bay. Very pretty. And this last one on maybe Bermuda Bay with the purple behind. That would be very pretty too. Let's see what happens if we put a little bit of white with it. That's gorgeous. That's gorgeous. Maybe something like that. Well, I'll mess around with these, and I'm going to create some cards. It'll take me a little while, but I'll create some cards with this, and then I'll do another tips video where I show the backgrounds again, the colors, and a still of each of the pages, and then what they turned into in the way of cards. So that's it for me today. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. You can order these sprinkles on my website. I'm going to have to change my sign. It's all full of brinkles now. Sprinkles, www.lbedinger.stampinup.net, or through my blog, www.inkingenuity.com. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. And or you could join my team. There's a wonderful deal for joining my team right now that runs through July and August, through which you purchase a starter kit for $99 and you get $165 worth of product instead of the normal $125 worth of product. My telephone number is always listed below. Please give me a call if you're interested. No pressure, but I'd love to chat with you about it. So again, thanks for stopping by. My prize draw for the month is one of the big bundles out of the catalog. And all you have to do to get in my drawing is make an order on my website. So I'll be back soon with more tips, more cards, and more projects. Bye.